The Zavkhan Province in western Mongolia is home to a wilderness of lakes, deserts, and the enigmatic summits of the Khangai Mountains, over 1,000 kilometers from the capital of Ulaanbaatar. Ogui, a 35-year-old nomadic doctor, crosses the steppe with her husband Magna and her 2 daughters, joining her on their break from work and school. Every day she roams the region to see her patients, who, like her parents, and all her ancestors before her, are nomad herders.
When I'm on the road, it's relatively easy for the other herders to find out where I am. Word of mouth travels fast here. Everybody knows me. It's a huge advantage to have been born here. I know everyone. Everyone knows me. I know every stone of the steppe. I never get lost. I can always find my way, even in the middle of the night. That makes it easier to get around.
I think that Ogui's work must be hard for a woman, especially in winter when she has to travel, even in the middle of snowstorms. But it was even more complicated before when there wasn't a mobile clinic. Thankfully, we no longer have to go all the way to Erdenek-Erkan. We're grateful to have access to care close by.
When I do family consultations, the shots and some medications are free. I buy the other medicine in Uliastai and resell it with no markup.
I've known Ogui since she was a child, and I know her parents very well. I know the whole family. I'm so proud of her for deciding to become a doctor.
Among the sand dunes and crystalline lakes and rivers, the Zavkhan Province is one of the coldest regions in the country. Here, families of nomadic herders live in yurts, some 30 kilometers away from one another. To see her parents, Ogui travels hundreds of kilometers on a motorcycle across the desert landscape.
Originally, I wanted to be a teacher. That was my childhood dream. Then, in middle school, around 6th or 7th grade, that was when I started realizing that if I became a doctor, I could really do something helpful for the people in this region. It was also around that time that my grandmother had a heart attack. I think that's what really made me decide to become a doctor. The nomads in this region like to be closer to one another. Erdenek-Erkan is 80 kilometers from here, and Uliastai is 100 kilometers away. But everyone's relatives are no more than 30 kilometers away. So the local people are happy about that. On average, I'd say that a unit here is made up of about 158 people. In the summer, people come to visit their families, so our population goes up by about 30 in the summer. But in the winter, we're 150 to 160 people.
In Mongolia, the rough climate holds sway over the people. It's one of the most sparsely populated places on Earth. Over 10 times the size of England, Mongolia comprises only 3 million inhabitants, and a third are nomads. It's a way of life here. More than 900,000 people share these highly secluded lands, far from urban civilization. In 2012, mobile ambulances were launched in the Mongolian steppe, a project initiated by a Czech organization named People in Need, founded by war correspondents over 30 years ago.
It all began in 2012 when the Yurt clinic project began to be set up. We equipped 39 health teams with medical equipment to service this region and every district in it. And we were the ones who provided the yurts for the project. We have 165 doctors, but there's a total of 1,112 medical staff who are part of the project. Herding is a way of life in Mongolia. Here we follow the resources by moving, so it's complicated for people to seek treatment in a hospital. That's why the doctors follow the herders. This nomad life is practical for them because it means they can be closer to their patients.
Ogui chose a nomadic lifestyle to stay close to her patients. It's a difficult life that her children do not share with her. Ogui only gets to see her 2 daughters in the summer. They go to school in the city the rest of the year. In the nomad community, the women are responsible for raising the children. They're the ones who take care of most of the day-to-day chores, milking the cows and goats, educating the children, baking bread, and preparing the meals. The climate dictates the menu for the yurt dwellers on the steppe. In winter, meat from the herd provides the calories necessary to resist the glacial cold. In the summer, during birthing and lactation, the menu revolves around dairy. Certain commodities are hard to come by in these arid areas. One of the most precious is rainwater, which families eagerly await. In the summer, Ogui and her mother, like other families, rely on the rivers to provide the water they need.
Of course I'm proud. I'm incredibly proud. The entire Musun tribe is incredibly proud of her. She helps other people. That's admirable.
Of course I'm proud of the work Ogui does. I'm proud that everyone talks about her. Anytime there's an emergency, she's the one they call.
Whether it's the middle of freezing winter or the heart of an arid summer, the doctor is working all year round.
During the summer is when I see the most cases of high blood pressure. In winter, it's more likely to be respiratory illnesses or the flu. It's mostly the children who are affected by respiratory illnesses. Those are the most common ailments we see here. But sometimes there are other issues, like someone who fell off a horse, got burned, or had a motorcycle accident.
Every year, nearly 19,000 Mongols die from sickness, 40% of which are cardiovascular. In order to handle the various pathologies facing the nomad population, who are fragile and vulnerable, Ogui trained for all kinds of situations like childbirth, dentistry, and chronic illnesses.
In the spring, I do a lot of preventive work. I teach people about the dangers of tuberculosis. I explain that they shouldn't be in contact with newborns if they haven't been dried, and that they need to regularly wash their hands. That's what I tell them about tuberculosis. But I also teach them a lot of other preventative care. Things like how you shouldn't eat food that's too salty, you should exercise, how to prevent the plague. I have meetings with all the families in the region to share information and offer prevention guidance. We classify the population into age groups, and the 40 to 64-year-old age group is our main target. We regularly check their blood pressure, height and weight, and if anyone seems to be at risk, we share that data with the relevant authorities.
It's August, and the family is gathered to celebrate Ogui's niece's 3rd birthday. It's a rite of passage here, marked by a lock of hair being cut and burned. It's a symbol of rebirth and a relic from a time when infant mortality was common. Ogui enjoys spending time with her daughters, who will soon return to school, which is over 5 hours away from the campsite.
Our time is split between the Gobi Desert and the Kangay Mountains. In the summer, we go to the mountains, and in the winter, to the desert. It's warmer, and there's a lot of cow dung, which we use as fuel for heat. I don't think there's another way to do it. Nomad life is the only option here, because we constantly have to move to find new pastures for our herds. That's why it's impossible to survive here without nomadism.
Weather and rare resources determine the transhumance of the nomads. With every change of season, these cattle-herding families pack up their yurts in search of new green pastures for their animals.
We must be one with nature. If we didn't change pastures, imagine what would happen if I stayed here with my herd for an entire year. They would graze in this land until everything was gone and the ground would no longer be fertile. That's why we're nomads. We can't deplete the soil. It's an ecological necessity.
In the wooded areas of the steppe, heavy rains force the families to leave their yurts 6 to 8 times a year, migrating 20 kilometers away each time. In the heart of the arid and mountainous regions, distances seem longer. The herders travel across rocky, scorching roads for 150 kilometers before choosing to settle in a milder climate. Steep terrain and suffocating temperatures mean most of the nomads leave the majority of their possessions behind so they can travel lightly. The younger generations of nomads drift closer and closer to the cities as they're less attached to traditions and are drawn to new urban lifestyles.
Times are changing. Anyone can see that the steppe has become less populated. There aren't enough people to look after the herds. We're often taking care of the animals on our own. People are moving towards the cities with their herds. We used to have a schedule for tasks like preparing the hay for the winter season. Everything was planned by the state, even the time for butchering. Today, none of that exists anymore. The number of herders is diminishing. I think the state should do something about it. Tradition says that there should be a certain number of nomadic herders. But unfortunately, young people today prefer to go to the city. The herds are growing. When we had the kolkhoz, there weren't as many heads of cattle. In 1990, the kolkhoz was shut down and the cattle industry was privatized. It's been that way for 29 years now in Mongolia. Cattle are multiplying in huge numbers. Back then, the goal was to limit the bovine population to 31 million, but that never happened. Today, we have over 150 million cattle. All the changes and development in the country have started speeding up. Every family now owns a vehicle, a television, and technical equipment. Talk about progress. Before, it used to be forbidden to own a car. We used to take care of 500 heads of cattle. Now we have 1,000 or 1,500. It continues to grow despite privatization. You could say it's a good thing that the cattle belong to us, but it's become far too much work.
Things were good during communism. Now we own our cattle, which is a good thing. But the bovine population has gotten far too big, and we simply don't have enough green pastures for them. There's just not enough grass to go around.
There's a lot of transhumance in winter and summer. I decide where I'm going to settle down based on how many other herders are present in the area.
Once they've picked a migration day, the families begin to pack up their property, personal belongings, religious icons, but above all, the yurt. Each of the 88 wooden branches that make up the structure are carefully dismantled and packed away with the felt and the central columns. Once they've arrived at their new home address, every member of the family participates in rebuilding the yurt, with the entrance traditionally positioned south, facing the sun.
When the children are old enough to go to school, the parents follow their children. They move to the village. They think about the children first. They take care of the herds with their children in mind. For example, we've been taking care of our son's herd and our son-in-law's as well. We've been caring for them for 2 years, along with the grandchildren too.
I only see my children for 15 days in the summer and 15 days in the winter. I miss them terribly. The rest of the year, I'm alone on the steppe. I think if we want to preserve the nomad way of life, we need to spend time educating future generations. They need to learn about nomad cattle rearing from a young age. When I was young, there were a lot more nomad herders. There are less and less of them. They all live somewhere else now.
Due to global warming, more than 600,000 herders left the steppe and moved to the capital of Ulaanbaatar over the past 3 decades. Others migrated to other smaller cities and simply never came back.
When it's time to go back to school, I take Muknaran to the center of Sum, where her school is located. Ogui has to stay here on the steppe, where she works. That's why Muknaran is always emotional about going back. For us, it's always a big deal when she goes back to school. It's hard. That's why I stay with her during the school year.
There are no Nomad schools, unfortunately. That's why I have to send my children to school in Erdenekerkan or in Uliastai. I don't have a choice. I would like my children to learn about Mongol traditions at school, starting from a young age in kindergarten. I want them to know how to survive out here with our culture and history.
When she can be with her family, even briefly, Ogui routinely carries out her nomad habits, gestures she knows by heart and which she wants to pass on. She's afraid this traditional cultural heritage will be lost over time.
Is my heart having palpitations?
Your heart does have an irregular beat. How old are you?
I'll be 48 years old soon.
You haven't hit menopause yet.
What is that?
An oximeter to measure your heartbeat.
I took medication this morning. It didn't work, so I took paracetamol.
You don't use river water? You prefer the well?
We use the water for cleaning.
Really?
Some families drink it, but we don't.
Can the calves and horses drink it?
Yeah, sure. The well might be useful this year.
I prefer living here than in town. But my children are going to school in town, and I wish I could be close to them. Sometimes I think about finding a job at a district hospital, but the nomad life really suits me perfectly.
Ogui chose these peaceful lands over her family. This is where she was born, in these landscapes shaped by these infinite deserts and ice-capped mountains. This is where she hopes to support families who carry on their ancestral traditions. A nomadic heritage that's vanishing little by little as the population dwindles.
How is it? Is it deep?
No, it's not deep. I can't believe it. Maybe there's a dead animal stuck between the pieces of wood. But we can't see much.
There's nothing? It reminds me of a night when I was coming back from the north of Dulanishil. I was with my grandchildren. Friends from Yaru met us here and we drank water from this well. The next day we found dead jerboas in the well. We should have never come here that night.
In the summer and spring seasons, we drink river water. In winter and autumn seasons, we drink well water. Finding drinking water is difficult. It's becoming increasingly difficult because of things like global warming and pollution. It's getting harder and harder to find reliable sources of good drinking water. Water has become liquid gold to me. I've really felt the effects of global warming over the past few years. When I was young, we had 4 distinct seasons. Now there's really only 2. A winter that's less cold and a very hot summer. Desertification is a growing problem.
Weakened by the cold, the cattle can't survive the lack of food and die one after another. These conditions threaten the herders' limited sources of income, as well as the food supply for the entire country.
Some people are just fed up with the nomad lifestyle, and it drives them away. But it could also be the result of climatic conditions. During a tzad, people lose cattle, and then they have no reason to stay on the steppe. A tzad is a climatic event caused by a drought in the summer, which prevents the grass from growing correctly, combined with a very cold winter with lots of snow. Lots of snow and very cold temperatures are characteristic of a tzad. The cattle have nothing to eat, and they end up dying of starvation. That's what happens during a tzad. I don't want to live in a city. It's too crowded, and there's too much pollution.
I like being in town where everything is available. It's nice. But I prefer to live on the steppe.
I often think about how you pay for everything in town. Electricity, food, etc. Here, if I save 1,000 chugrik, that can last several days. That's the price of a water bottle in town. You have to constantly pay for everything, which is why I never liked city life. It's too many unnecessary expenses.
I spend 10 months out of the year in Uliastai, but I honestly prefer to live on the steppe. I'm happier here. The air is much better.
There's no sense of time here. And I think I'd lose that if I lived in the city. If I ever had to move to the city and find work there, which might happen someday, I think the stress would make me age really fast. I prefer to live free in the calm of the steppe. That's where I feel at home.
The nomad population remains very attached to the desert landscapes of the steppe, far from the city pollution of Ulaanbaatar, one of the most polluted cities in the world due to coal heating, which is still widespread. And yet the exodus of nomads to the cities increases every year. Faced with these migrations, the capital can barely adapt. It's now home to over half of the country's population. Families that leave the steppe's plains often find themselves, despite their best intentions, living in the slums outside the city, where the living conditions can be brutal.
It's a personal choice. I don't want to judge anyone who can't handle the harsh climate out here. When there's a dzud, it's discouraging to see all your cattle die off in a single day. Of course, for some, it's just too hard to carry on, and they decide to move to the city. A lot of people end up doing that. But they have a hard time adapting, because it's a completely different environment. It's complicated for people like that at first. It would be better for them to just stay here, in a place that's familiar. They would waste less time. I think they're making the wrong choice when I see them leave. It takes 5 years to recover from losing your herd, but over there, it takes a lot longer than that. It might take 10 years or so to adapt to city life. I think it's a waste of time.
It's like what happens in a dzud. The animals feel lost without the rest of the herd. They scatter in every direction and disappear. So many people have moved to the city. There's only old people like us left. And when we try to get young people out here, they refuse. That's just how it is. Of course, we're worried about the herd, but it's up to Mother Nature. What will become of us if we lose our herd? All those people who lost their cattle. If the weather is bad, the grass doesn't grow, and the animals die.
I worry about it.
It's very concerning.
It's very hard if we lose our cattle. No more cattle means no more nomads.
It's all over.
Amidst a group of people who are questioning their identity and worrying about their future, Ogui represents a spark of hope that this way of life can endure and prosper. She's become an indispensable crutch for the nomad people of Zavkhan in fast transition.
I think if I weren't here, if there were no doctor nearby for these people, some of the herders would leave. My goal is to be as close to them as possible. I still have to get better at what I do and continue to adapt to better serve my people. That's my mission. I'm a doctor. I took an oath.
Ui тань уу. Харин энэ өнөөдрийн болно. Бүтэн баг. Бака. Энэ дом баярлаа.
When did she get a massage? She calms down as soon as we hold her.
We gave it to her, but she got sick. She had the flu.
Did you give her ATST?
Very rarely. We only gave her a little. A pinch in some boiled water. She was a perfect baby. But unfortunately, because of this burn, she's not perfect anymore.
She's always been so calm. She doesn't cry. She's always so peaceful. It doesn't look good. Did you use the cream?
Yes, we have 2 tubes.
It's important. Her skin will stretch as she grows.
How can someone live in the city? I was there recently and I couldn't stand it. The air is bad. It's hard to breathe. There are people everywhere, even near the mountains. I couldn't possibly live in the city. It would be too hard. If I could, I'd bring half of those people out here.
Living in the city is unthinkable for us. Maybe when Sumia gets bigger. No, we would miss the kids and this region.
Nomadic herding is the heart of Mongol culture. We've always raised cattle here. People should stay here on the steppe. If things continue to change, eventually we won't even know what it means to be Mongol anymore.
Happiness is having a beautiful life. Being on the steppe, breathing fresh air, taking care of our animals. That is happiness. We have everything we need.
Was there someone looking to buy cattle?
Yes, the man with the car.
The car that came by earlier? Where did he go?
He was looking for goats, 60,000 for males, 30,000 for females, and 40 to 50,000 for kid goats.
Okay, I'll come tomorrow and I'll sell everything. I have no choice. If he's interested in my animals.
He'll come tomorrow.
He had a blue car.
He'll be here tomorrow.
Blue? I wondered where he was going to.
It was Minkbat's car.
Okay, but which way did he go? Did he go that way?
He must be by these two families over there. After selling their livestock, some people want to buy an apartment. You, comrade, what will you do with your livestock?
I'll take care of them.
You fool. Be careful, or you'll lose everything. You're better off buying a warm apartment. I have everything I need to be happy. I have my family, and they're in good health. I have a husband and 2 young daughters. In terms of material goods, I have a car and a yurt. I don't need anything else. The only thing I wish for is that our 2 daughters have successful careers someday.
The end of summer draws near, and the children's laughter on the steppe will soon fade as they go back to school. Ogui prepares to spend winter in Zavkhan, alone with her parents. Far from her daughters, her dedication will once again be put to the test. Ogui carries on in the wilderness, forging new paths across the Mongolian steppe.